Alright. We didn't get the 3, 2, 1 this time.
He's live.
Yeah, you're live.
I'm live. Everything looks good?
Yeah.
Alright, can everybody hear me?
Not
Please
yet.
let somebody.
Not yet.
Oh.
We're just now getting them in.
Okay.
Roughly
Hey.
9, 10. 14.
Alright. It's going good.
Hey, you're good.
Yeah, we're 20 now.
Okay. Alright, guys. I'm sorry about that. I had some difficulties with my the phone and everything. Sorry that it cut out and everything, but Mackenzie powered it up and got us going again. I want to start off by saying I been doing a lot of stuff lately. Everybody knows this is about my daughter Mackenzie Taylor Branham, and that's what it is about. I took a trip to Jeffersonville today. I took some photos and stuff. I also talked to another witness today. Like I said, I don't like to give names out or anything. I try to keep these people confidential so that I can go ahead and give it to the right person to handle this. As you can tell, like from my last feed, there was a lot of things I've been doing and working on to bring justice for my little girl. And I guess the other day, a couple of days ago, I had an issue with somebody, and that person, said, why don't I let the authorities handle this instead of me? And then posted some other nasty stuff about, my daughter, me posting a picture of my daughter in the coffin and everything. First of all, the picture of my daughter in the coffin, I posted that because I think that everyone needs to see exactly what these people did to this little girl. And when you see that photograph that I have seen, and also when I saw her at the funeral home, it's devastating what they did to her. And for people to be able to see that and understand the actual crime behind it, I'm all right with it. Some people might not be. But once again, this Christy Aders is the best friends with Mary Ann. And in my book, she's a piece of shit. She wants to call me out and say all this shit about me and post stuff about me and everything else. And I really don't care. Like I've said always, my famous words is kiss my ass. So that's what I'm telling Christy Aders to do. I'm going to prove tonight why I don't allow the authorities to handle my daughter's case. Why I am pushing for the justice that I am pushing for. And by the time I'm finished tonight, anybody that's a father, mother, grandfather, grandma, uncle, aunt, you would be doing the same thing I'm doing if it was your child that died the way they died. The way Mackenzie died was horrible. So if I have to step on toes in this county to get justice for my daughter, oh well. And I've said it before. I don't care to step on anybody's toes that don't want to do their job. After tonight, I'll prove to everybody who ain't doing their job and why the job's not being done. So I thank you all for logging in tonight and watching this. I love every single one of you, and that baby girl up there in heaven loves everybody in this community. So to start it off tonight, one of the things I want to show is, like I said, I went to Jeffersonville, and one of the photos that I took in Jeffersonville today this is me. And can everybody hear me first of all? Please, can everybody let me know that you can hear me good? Okay. This is a photograph of me standing in front of the Jefferson Fire Department in front of the emergency 911 phone. That phone sits right in front of the fire station. And that fire station, all you do is you open up that little red box right there. And when you open it up, there's a phone in there. And that phone automatically calls 911. And I don't understand why somebody that's a says that they're a volunteer fireman, but in my eyes are not a volunteer fireman, they're a coward, knows that that phone's there. Why would they waste the minutes that they waste trying to knock on people's door and wake somebody up when that phone sat right there on that building? The next picture that I show, this is me standing and talking to a lady. I will not give her name out. And this lady saw my daughter that morning. Or, I'm sorry, that afternoon when she come home from school. And when she walked down the street, she was tired from walking, and she put her book bag down, and this lady come out and talked to my daughter and everything. And she was crying while telling me she knew who I was. She follows my stories. She supports what I do for Mackenzie. And like I said, it was very hard for her to talk to me, but I was glad that she did. It was like one more memory of my little girl. You know, like I said, here's a child coming home from school and gets murdered that night. The next photograph, this is me standing by that lady's house, which is right next door to 7 Walnut Street where the fire was. This building right here, if you can see me pointing at it, that building right there is the fire station. That's how close that fire station is to where the fire was. This is where the house used to sit. And back here is a barn. And that barn's still standing there. And if you can see on this barn, there's not one bit of damage to that barn from any fire. And I showed the photo of Mackenzie's house and the back of it, and there was no flames, no nothing, no fire made it to the back of the house, and no fire made it to the corner of the back of the house and the back of the house of where my daughter's bedroom was. This is actually standing in the front yard of where the fire was. And you can still see right here, just above our car, is the fire station. I can see the windows on the fire station. That's how close that fire station was. And they went down this street and went past this street. They come around the back, come up Maple Street, and went straight this way down the street. This is the railroad tracks that sit right beside her house where Mackenzie died. And right there where those trees are sits a house that is easily to go down this railroad track, cut across, and into the front door of Mary Ann's mom and dad's house. That's how close her parents lived. This right here, across the railroad tracks from her yard, sits that deputy, Mike Stiegels' house. That's how close another person that they could have went to and called 911. That's how close it was to the backyard. This is the shed right here that sits in the backyard that belonged to the house that Mary Ann and Kenny lived in. And on top of this shed is where 3 ladders, not one ladder, but 3 ladders sat right on top of this roof. One ladder was an aluminum ladder that was 24 foot. The other one was an aluminum ladder that was 48 foot. Now, I don't know, but a lot of people know that a 2-story house, the window sits above, 2 stories, so that's at least anywhere from 12 feet and above. The wooden ladder that he took off this roof and put against the back of the house was only 8 to 10 foot long. I'm going to say it was in the back of the sheriff's truck, and the truck bed is usually about anywhere from 6 to 8 foot long. And there was probably a good foot of it sticking out of the back of the sheriff truck. So that ladder wouldn't even reach her window that he supposedly tried to say he used and then found out later he didn't. But there sat 2 other ladders on the back of that roof. Excuse me. Which we're only talking about 4 to 5 feet away from the house. Now this is the porch that Mary Ann was standing on. That's me standing in the front yard and looking at the porch across the street that she was standing on, watching from that view. This bush was a lot smaller, but watching from that view as her daughter was in the house, burning. This is the house right here. of one of the witnesses. This is the house of one of the witnesses, and this is the house of one of the witnesses, which I was able today to talk to one of the witnesses, and she also said she has never been talked to by any investigator. So there's 3 houses right there, 3 witnesses that was up that night, was up before the firemen got there, saw everything that was going on. I've already played 2 of the tapes of these witnesses. They no longer live there anymore, but this person does, and this person does over here on this other side of the house, of the street. That's the houses they went to, and this is the house that she went to and asked for a pair of shoes. This is the house that she sat on the curb in front of it and never mentioned any of these people that her daughter was in that house until later on. Now this is the steps I'm going up. This is the steps that she sat on when Vernon Stanforth and the fire chief went up and told her that she passed away, that my daughter passed away. Now this is the house that I talked to a witness today that stated that Marianne went in her house, that she went in the house and stayed in the house until they loaded my daughter up in an ambulance. She never came out of this house. This lady wrapped a blanket around her and everything. And the house across the street, when we all heard her testimony, she stated that Marianne went into a house across the street and never came out. She didn't see her no more. And this lady today verified that is the true statement of what happened.
If it's not close to the fire station, I want you to call.
What? Somebody's asking a question. I want to answer it. That close to the fire station, no one should have even had to call. They would have seen the fire. The thing of it is with the fire department, I want everybody to know, that's a volunteer fire department. So there's nobody at the fire station. Everybody has to come to the fire station. Now, this is me standing where Marianne would have been standing and looking between where this white truck is or gray truck here. That's where the house fire was. That's how close. And she stood here watching her baby die that night in that house. And that's all. That's all the photographs. So you can see what I just seen and how close it was to be able to get help for my little girl. And instead, in her own statement, she said that she wasted 15 minutes trying to get somebody up. And then her exact statement was, after 20 minutes, or my daughter was already in there 20 minutes, and we could no longer hear her screaming. Now, here's the thing I think about that phrase. If your child's in a house and your child's screaming for you, what the hell are you doing in somebody else's house? What are you doing up the street asking for a pair of shoes? What are you doing knocking on anybody's door when you should have been at the fire trying to get my baby girl out of that house? The piece of shit that calls himself a fireman should have been the one that went and got help while you stayed right there waiting on my daughter. But here's why. You already knew my daughter was dead. You already was a coward. You walked away and left that baby in that house because you knew she was already dead. Because if she would have been awake and screaming and everything else, by God, with my heart, I'm hoping that you wouldn't have left her there. So, but by your actions, you didn't care about our little girl. So, a lot of people ask me, you know, why I do what I do and why I'm out here and I'm pounding the streets and everything else. You know, when you go 11 years and you find out that the investigators on this case have not even talked to key witnesses in 11 years, have never spoke to one witness, tells me I need to do the job I'm doing. And like I said, not all cops are bad. There was only a certain amount of officers that was involved in this case, and they didn't do their job, which I'm going to prove tonight. Like I said, I have friends that's on the sheriff's office force. I have friends on the Washington Courthouse Police Department, and they do what they're supposed to do. If they didn't, I wouldn't have been pulled over for driving without a driver's license. So I know they do their job. Mistakes were made, errors were made, and I'm going to prove that tonight. And for this bitch, and that's what I'm going to say, bitch, that lives around the corner from me, Christy Aders, that wants to get on there and fucking run her mouth and sit there and say that I need to let the authorities do their fucking job and I need to keep my mouth shut. You're the bitch, and you're the reason that I keep doing what I do. I'm one of these people that's going to make sure that this never happens again to another person in this county. And you don't have to like me. I could care less. I've said it before. I could care less. You don't have to like me. I've never said I was perfect. I never said that I never did wrong in my life. I've never said that ever. I have, but I can tell you one thing. The one thing that I have done right is that right there. That baby girl. That's what I have done right. And if this town and this county don't like what I'm doing, oh fucking well. That's how I look at it. That's how I feel. The more and more I keep digging, the more and more I keep getting pissed. And the more and more I get pissed, I have every right to yell, scream at this county for not doing their job. And anybody that feels I don't, kiss my ass. So what I'm going to do tonight is, like I said, I talked to one of the witnesses tonight. I'm not going to give any names. I try to keep from names being told. It was a hard thing for me today to go down there and take the photographs I took. And while I'm standing there, I'm picturing in my mind, oh my God, how easy it would have been to go here and wake these people up or pick up that telephone. But then again, right there again, here's a phone on a fire station. Works. Nothing wrong with that phone. Pick it up, 911 automatically gets dialed. Takes about a minute to get to that fire station walking. In a panic mood that your child's trapped in a house, probably seconds to get there. Not only there, but then you also have a cell phone sitting in a truck that you moved from the fire scene, and you still don't pick it up and dial 911. And we all know that today with cell phones, and even back in 2006, you don't have to have cell phone access or paid your bill to dial 911. It automatically will let you dial a 911 call. So there's two phones that within gripping and seconds to get to, and you would have been able to dial 911 and got somebody there. I've said this once before to the sheriff, to the detectives and all that. That 20 minutes made a difference how my baby came out of the house. And the only thing I can think of, by you moving that truck and putting it in the middle of the road, by you not saying that my child was in that house, by you waiting 20 minutes to tell authorities that your child was in that house, by stopping people from going down there with ladders to save my child, tells me one thing and one thing only. You didn't want my baby to come out the way she did. But she still come out not the way I wanted her to come out. And by you hesitating, you avoided people to saving my baby girl. Even if my baby girl would have been passed, she still would have probably came out a lot better than the way she did. So to me, you're a piece of shit, Marianne. You're a piece of shit, Kenny Mossbarger. You're a piece of shit, William Potter. And you're a piece of shit, anybody that knows what happened that night and ain't come forward and ain't talked and ain't said something. You're a piece of shit in my eyes, too. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to play this tape. Now, what I'm about to play you is going to be, it's going to piss a lot of people off. It also is going to hurt a lot of people's feelings. But when the tape is done, it's going to explain everything I've been saying from day one. And number two, it's going to explain why I say Christy Aders kiss my ass. Are you ready?
I'm ready.
You're gonna get this. You're gonna get this. And if everybody could, before it starts, can everybody let me know when it does start that you can hear both my voice and the other person?
Yeah, this is Potter-Branham.
Hey,
Hey, how you doing?
good? Okay, I'll do this.
I'm the one that talked to you last, I think it was a couple weeks ago, about Mackenzie Taylor Branham.
Yeah. You wanted, I found the log. I just haven't had a chance to get a hold of Master about the pictures yet. The evidence, and so while you're on the phone, I don't know if you're going to want it because it doesn't say who destroyed it, who gave the authorization to destroy it. It just says destroyed. Apology, we wouldn't have done that without talking to Dr. Gay, but it does not specifically say on the log that he gave permission. It just says destroyed.
Alright. You know how everybody I do, I stop the tape so I can explain everything. That is the coroner of Montgomery County that did the first autopsy on my daughter and also did the second when they exhumed her. His exact words was, I asked him about what we talked about 2 weeks ago, and he said, yeah, I know you want that piece of paper of showing who ordered the clothes to be destroyed. My daughter's clothes were destroyed 3 months after her death, which are pieces of evidence to a crime. And his exact words was, there is nothing in writing. So I want everybody to know this.
You want the paper?
Yeah, but I don't, shouldn't there have been, though, a letter signed, though, that says who ordered it to be destroyed?
No, not necessarily. Not in the. There's not traditionally there isn't. If you had wanted that, now I wish we had it, but we don't do it. We just get a verbal and we destroy evidence.
But how do you know who you're talking to on the phone? I mean,
well, we know who Dr. Gay is. I mean, we call his office. It's not like somebody can make it up. But we wouldn't just take a call from a random person. We'd call her for permission.
Right. So when you guys determined that the clothes were still there, you would have called Dr. Gay, and then Dr. Gay would have said it verbally over a phone that go ahead and destroy the clothes.
Right. That's how it works traditionally. Either you or I were there, so and it's not documented that happened, but that's what we do. So I assume that took place, but I can't because it's not documented. I can't.
Do you know why it wasn't documented?
What?
Do you know why it wasn't documented?
I do not, other than the particular person who was in charge of who did the documenting on this case is no longer here. And since he left, we found other poor documented cases under his tenure. So
right.
Prior to him leaving, we had no idea. But once he left, and any person was inventorying our evidence, whatever, our long-term storage things, cleaning it out, we found some other inconsistencies in our paperwork. Not that anything was done, wrong, just not documented well enough. But that person's no longer here, so that's probably what happened. It just that particular person was not as thorough as we would like them to be, and it wasn't picked up.
Right.
The supervisor. So.
Alright, what he said right there was we were talking about the documents of Mackenzie's clothes, and he stated that the person in charge of that didn't do their job. They didn't document anything. So, and they found out later that there was other cases that he did the same thing. He didn't document stuff and everything the right way and everything. So they fired him after his tenure. And they said that he said that he didn't do what they asked him to do by standards and everything else. So now we know what happened to my daughter's clothes. We don't know. And he even said, I wasn't there, he wasn't there. So we don't know what really the conversation was about, other than the clothes were destroyed. But there's no documents now on that. None at all. So we don't know who made that phone call. We don't know who asked for that to be destroyed. So all we know is it was a verbal, supposedly, maybe, but the clothes were destroyed. Now,
would have picked it up as the supervisor, and since he was the one being sloppy, no one ever picked it up.
Okay, so, but now, okay, now what about the other document? Or is that documented where, like you were explaining to me about how what you had collected it or whatever, and it went to your guys' crime lab and then went back to your all's office, sat there for 3 years. Is that documented, or is that just an error?
Well, that part was an error that it sat there for 3 years. It was documented as being turned over, let's see, in April of 2006, evidence was submitted to the crime lab, which included the swabs. And then the report came back.
Wouldn't have been April the 6th because she died April 27th.
Well, that's, no, I'm sorry, I'm reading the wrong date. You're right, April 27th. September 5th, the report was generated September 15th. I don't know why it doesn't say when it was submitted. I have the submittal sheet. Hang on 1 second. It looks like it was submitted to the crime lab on May 9th. May 9th. And the report was generated on September 15th, but then it wasn't found. It was just in the file. No one saw it until, let's see, retesting was done in September of 2000. The report was generated. Well, another report, I don't know when it was retested. I can't see a date on there, but another report was generated in September of 2012. Still there?
So it's that many years without anybody knowing it was there?
It's I don't remember when the sheriff was actually re-looking at the case, and that's what I found. I don't remember the date. I don't remember the date when it was found. This first report was found. But yeah, it sat for years without anybody knowing that there was potential DNA evidence.
wow.
Might have been too.
Okay. So now I hope everybody heard what he said. And you wonder why I'm pissed. The sheriff knew that this was done. And it sat for years with potential DNA. And no one knew it was sitting there. No one knew it was sitting there. And even no one that... let me get myself... Alright. You're telling this community, I'm working on this case every day. This is a number one priority. Remember, that's what was said. He's put it in the paper. He said it. Everybody says it. How are you working this case every day? And it's a number one priority. And for years, potential DNA sits, comes from the crime lab, goes to a file, and sits there, and no one asks about it for years. And wait until you hear what year it finally was found. And I hope everybody can understand. I get mad about this. I don't mean to get angry and yell. It's like I said, people that want to sit there and run their mouth about something they know nothing about, and they want to bash me, and they want to put me down for doing what I'm doing to find out what really happened to my baby girl. But I am proving every single day This was never investigated. This was not looked into. This was not anybody searching for answers. I've said it before. This is her year. I love this community because you guys stand behind me. You guys I share everything with because there's a lot of children that went to school with her that are on this live feed. There's a lot of people that knew my little girl, that played with her, talked to her, school teachers, everything. And you guys are a part of her life too. And you got to understand why I do the things I do. I'm not trying to be hateful. I'm not trying to put this people down about what they're doing. All I'm doing is proving that this was not handled the way it was supposed to be handled, and that errors were made. And I'm proving those errors every day.
Yeah.
That what happened. I'm sorry for getting angry. I mean, trust me, I love everybody that's watching this, and I love everybody dearly. I wouldn't wish this on even my worst enemy of what I've gone through. And I have gone through a lot. I have a family. I want to make sure this never happens to one of my other kids and that I have to go back through all this again. We count on our officials to do their job. If you look at their motto, I guess is how you would say it, it is to protect and serve our citizens. And by God, Mackenzie didn't get that. So please listen to the rest of the tape. I'll stop it again because you guys are going to be amazed how many years it was before this was found out.
That question for sure.
Right. So, okay. So now this exhuming part that you just did again. All you did was collect. You collected what they wanted you to collect, and then they're the ones that took it and sent it to BCI and sent it back with you guys to Montgomery County.
The new swabs?
Yeah, the new swabs.
The new swabs, they took them directly. I don't have any idea where they went. They haven't been brought back here or anything. We went and collected them at the exhumation, and they handed them directly to the sheriff's office. I think they got BCI, so we don't have any involvement with those.
Okay.
And the reason they're saying do it is because the ones we have in the September report from 2012, they exhausted the sample because there's no more to test.
Okay.
So that's why they needed more.
Okay.
They're trying to get more.
So, but at the time when the first one was done, if it wouldn't have been misfiled with the wrong place where no one knew about it, was sitting there for 3 years, then at that time y'all did have the DNA.
We had potential DNA evidence that we didn't test for. Correct. We could have been testing it back in 2006.
Okay. So there was DNA, but it wasn't tested because no one knew about it or knew it.
Correct.
Or the sheriff's office never questioned about the case.
About the case?
Yeah, I mean, if they would have contacted you guys back in 2006 and said, okay, what do y'all have? The stuff that was sitting for 3 years, then you would have they would have known that DNA was sitting there.
Correct. Right. And the sheriff, whoever, I know it was the sheriff because I met with him. When they re-looked at the case, somebody else knew. I remember there was a new investigator. He put someone else on it, and they were re-looking at everything. That's when we found it. It might have been 2011. They might have sat there for 5 years.
Well, it would have sat there from 2006, and you said probably 2011 or 12, so that had been five years, and that's when they started to take DNA, and that's when they got my DNA, and
Right.
that's the only person I know of that they got DNA was from me. But they told me that the DNA was sitting in the database.
Well, for Mackenzie,
Yeah.
it wasn't ran until, well, we had the swab. We had swabs with material on them. I don't know what they mean by that. Because I don't know. Because we collect blood standard as well. So
Right.
somebody may have put a blood standard in the database.
Well, they told me that Mackenzie, the male DNA that y'all found, was sitting in the database, and all they were waiting on was somebody to hit that DNA.
Well, that's true now.
all true now, but not back in 2006.
Okay, so I know a lot of y'all heard what was being said. Here they had potential DNA, but nobody asked about it. They didn't know about it. It sat in a file all these years till 2012 when the case was reopened. Another detective took over, and then that's when they found that file. Almost 6 years later. So here, you got a person that wants to bash me and tell me let the authorities do their job and shut my mouth. You gotta be fucking out of your mind. Out of your mind if you think I'm gonna let this authority handle my daughter's case. It'll never happen. Never. All these years went by. I was told that this was an ongoing investigation. You know, bear with us, Donald. We're working on it. You lied, man. And not only lied to me, but you lied to this community. You lied to Mackenzie. That little baby girl died a horrible death, and you lied to her. You lied. That's why I always say about Christians, you know, they're the worst. They are, because they go in there and they put a Bible on their lap and they preach to God, and then they turn around and they walk out of that church and they're the first ones to judge somebody as soon as they walk out that door. Bottom line is, my baby died, and the way I look at it, you didn't care. You didn't care. You were wanting this to come out one way, and you couldn't prove that the fire marshal was a liar. That the fire marshal said this was an arson, and that child was murdered. And you sat and let evidence sit there. And they're going to explain what happened to that evidence. And you wonder why I'm so upset. And you wonder why it hurts me every day I go to bed. And I sit there and I always tell my wife, man, you know, this could happen to somebody else. This could happen to another child. And I know what's going on. And I know what they did with Mackenzie. And for me to sit in my bed and keep my mouth shut is not fair if this happened to another child. And this little girl wouldn't want that more than anything in the world. She wouldn't want that. She wants me to tell her story. She wants people to know what happened to her. And I'm going to do that. And if you don't like it, like I've said it 1,000 times, kiss my ass. My baby was my world. And there's people walking these streets that are guilty for what they did to my baby girl. And if I can't get justice, at least everyone will know who took that precious little girl's life that night.
Until 2012. We had the SWAT, you know, we didn't have DNA run back in 2006, but we had material with DNA on it, just no one knew that.
Okay.
We didn't know there was any potential DNA material because the report that says there is potential DNA material went into the file and wasn't seen. Nobody tested it. Nobody tested it and created a DNA profile until 2012.
And that was from that same
correct
situation, but it was 6 years later.
Correct. Because
that part went into a different file. No one's seen it for that many years.
Correct. So it was looked at as a cold case or whatever. So the new investigator was looking at it, then I found it in the file, and then brought it to the sheriff's attention, and he was rightfully unhappy. And that's when we did the DNA, actually did testing to do a profile.
Right. Okay. All right, yeah, if you can send me what you can, and then if you can get hold of Dr. Mesker and see about the photographs, I'd appreciate that.
I will. I may send that, or I will. I haven't mailed this stuff yet. I apologize, because I wanted to talk to you and see if you really wanted it, since it doesn't say anything. But you want you just want the log that shows that the clothes were destroyed, right?
I want that, and the time because I know that she came there to you guys' facility, then she left, and then she came back.
I can give you those.
The
I
times.
think it's not. Yes, I'll send those to you.
Okay, and then the only thing else I wanted was the photographs, which I understand you said you had to ask Dr. Messer first.
Yeah, because I just, as you know, it's still an active case, and if they get, you have the right, but I just don't want to let him know that's going on, because if I release him, then it becomes public record.
Right.
And that, it's still an active case, so it's, they may not want him out there.
Right. That's fine.
I'm going to leave these other logs today.
But the only photograph that is of Mackenzie is her in her clothes that she came into your facility with. Not.
Is that all you want?
Well, I mean, there's no other photographs of her, right? Just the ones of her.
There's a whole example. I mean, there's pictures of her as she came in, and then there's pictures of her during that we do in every offense.
No. I just wanted the pictures of her where she came in and she has the actual clothes that were destroyed on her.
Yeah, I can do that.
That's the one.
I'm not sure what doing.
Yeah, that's the ones I want. I don't want to see the other ones. I want
to. There's like one or two of those that have her as she came in. We always do a standard set. I'll let it know we're doing that.
Okay.
That'll be a little bit more time, and I'll send these other logs to you today in the mail. Might be tomorrow morning.
Okay. All right. Thank you so much, Ken.
Yep. Thanks.
Thank you. Bye.
Bye.
All right. So, y'all heard it right there. Errors were made. There was potential DNA, but because it sat so long, it became where it was no good. Once again, I try to let everyone know that this is why I'm handling my daughter's case. This is why I'm fighting as hard as I'm fighting. I'm hoping that there is people that will come forward and that might have been there that night or saw something or whatever. You always got to remember God Almighty above knows exactly who's seen what, who knows what. And you got to answer to that man upstairs. And like I said, it was heartbreaking when I went today and actually walked around and seen exactly how close everything was. I looked at the curb that the mother sat on and just sat there and watched. And then when she went down to the next house and asked for a pair of shoes and all this hesitation and everything else. And then, like I said, I read you guys the coroner's report where the sheriff's wife made the statement that she made and was pointing fingers before anything was even ruled. I showed you also on here the other errors that were made. And one of the errors that were made was that Kenny Mossbarger, they try to say that he took his lie detector test. Ain't it obvious that a lot of things are pointing that direction? And he took his lie detector test on April 27th, which is impossible to do when that's the same day that my daughter was murdered. Just trying to reconnect it. Okay. So, one of the things, like I said, I can't stand people that put their 2 cents into something they know nothing about. They have not even a clue of what I'm going through, what I'm living, what my children are living, what we lost, what I'm finding. You have no clue. And you want to get onto these other little sites and you want to bash me and say the stuff that you say about me and everything else. And I'm tell you what, and the good one is I don't have a job. Yeah, I have a job. I do work, but also this is my job right here. This is my job, and this is why I have what I have. This is why the community gets to see the evidence, gets to hear the evidence, gets to hear people that actually were there. They get to hear the coroner now, what happened with my daughter and everything else. And for people to get on that page and bash me, I feel sorry for you. But I can guarantee you one thing, if it was your child and somebody was bashing you, you'd be pissed too. all I can say is I live for my daughter. I am my daughter's voice. It is Mackenzie that's speaking. It is Mackenzie telling her story, that what happened that night to her. And this is evidence. This is all facts. This is all legal documents from every agency that I go to, that I ask for stuff. This is not false stuff. This ain't something that was just printed up off of a piece of paper and I'm just showing it. This is actual facts. But what upsets me the most is for somebody to stand there and look at me, knowing what I'm going through, and say that this is an ongoing case. This is moving forward. We're working hard every day on this. Bullshit. That's all I can say. Bullshit. I'm working every day on this. I'm finding stuff that you haven't even found. My question is, how can you be moving forward with a case when you don't even have anything? You have nothing other than what I have and what I've given to you copies of. You have nothing. So how can you be moving forward with a murder case when you have nothing? When you're coming to me and saying, how did you get that? I don't know. You're the detective. Tell me how I got it. The thing I think the most is the people that have talked to me, these witnesses that have took the time out of their time and their family to talk to me and to relive that night. And I know it's hard for them, just like the one witness, she said, you know, this was devastating to her. She gets goosebumps and cries every time she talks about it. But she actually got to talk to the father. She actually got to let me, because I wasn't physically there, by these witnesses, I can fill in that piece of the puzzle. I get to see what really was going on. And then today, when I went down there and I actually stood there and I looked at the fire station that ain't probably, I would say probably 100 feet away. And I look across the railroad tracks and I see a sheriff deputy's house, and that is a relation to them. And there was another potential way to get a 911 call out. And I look and I look at everything and the way that they came out and the way the mother said that she went, the path that she took. And it's overwhelming that I honestly believe if something didn't happen to my daughter, that's the reason she didn't get off the bed and died the way she died. I believe if they'd have done what parents should have done, my daughter would be here today. But then also it falls back into children's services that I proved over and over. If they'd have done their job, my daughter would have never been there in the first place. All I can say is I know there's more still out there. I'm still searching. I'm still digging. I love every single one of you guys that come in here and listen to my daughter's story and let her tell you what really happened to her that night. I hope the boyfriend and the mother are enjoying these vacations they go on. They go on a lot of vacations. They're always down in Florida, at least 2 to 3 times a year. So I'm glad they're enjoying their little getaway trips and stuff. But like I said in the last video, I'm coming for you. I'm coming strong. I'm coming after you. But not only am I coming after you, I'm coming after the ones that didn't do their job. The ones that lied to this community and said they were working on this and it was a priority and everything else, because I just showed you guys facts again. This was not. There's no way that a detective working a murder case waits 5 years and never asks us where the test results are. Never asks how things are going, what's going on. And if you heard in the take 2, he said it was reopened, that it was a closed case. And I was told it was never closed. It was never a cold case. Proof is, it was. Then you bring in a detective and all of a sudden, poof, you find a piece of paper. And now it's too late to use that paper. Now it's too late to do this. So now that explains why. Now you understand, I hope everyone understands, why I had my daughter exhumed. I knew something was wrong. I knew something wasn't right. And I'm hoping and praying to God they find what they need. But then you heard him too. The sheriff's office took those samples. and he don't know where they went from there. Hopefully they're sitting in BCI in the crime lab, but that's the other thing that bothers me is they send it to a place that they know that has a waiting list. When this county, Montgomery County, that first did the first autopsy, said that they would have had the results back in 4 weeks. In 4 weeks. My daughter was dug up on June 20th. On June 20th to now is almost close to 3 months. And those results would have already been back. Like I said this before, I would love it if you just come to me and say, we screwed up. We made a big mistake. We messed up. And you can't even do that. You can't even do that. You hide from me. You don't speak to me. You don't say nothing to me. You got your little trolls out here doing their shit on these pages that don't even know what's really going on. But guarantee you by tonight, millions will know the truth of what's going on. Millions will. All I can say is I love you guys. I'm trying to do my best as a father and a resident of Fayette County to make sure that this doesn't happen again. That then if there's ever a time another child dies, they're going to investigate it with every ounce they got. A child should always come first, no matter what. I don't know the reasons why they did what they did. I'm getting that to that point that I understand it, or why, what the things that happened. A lot of people said, oh, I can't believe you're calling it a cover-up. Buddy, you can't look at it no other way. You can't look at this case no other way other than a cover-up. Somebody knows something that they didn't want to get out. And I'm getting to that point. I'm getting it closer and closer. And I'm going to figure it out. That's my promise to my little girl. That day that I went to my little girl's grave and I laid down on that ground and I looked up at that sky and my daughter said, Dad, fight for me. I've done that. And I'm going to keep doing it. And I believe the community is going to fight. Because that child is actually family to everybody. So, like I said before, I'm not the perfect angel. I did some stuff in my life, but I never killed a child. I never hurt a child. And I'm damn sure fighting for mine. That's a parent. That's a father. And I would do this for anybody else. Anybody has any concerns about something that might have happened to their child or anything. All I say is my prayers are with all you guys. I know this is devastating to you guys. No one wants to ever believe that this can happen in our community, but it does. All we can do is pray and make changes. That's my whole goal, is the changes. We have to make changes or our children ain't got no future. Because that baby right there didn't have a future. She didn't get a future. So, I bless everybody that watched it tonight. I thank God for all y'all. Like I said, you guys are the ones that give me the strength to keep fighting. You guys are the ones that keep me sane enough that I sit here at my table and I'm not in Tip City, Ohio. I believe my daughter suffered horribly. And I want the people that did this to my daughter to suffer too. Doing something to them is an easy way out for them. I'd rather them suffer just like my baby did.
There's a couple new ones that want to know where they can find more of the story.
To find more of my story is you can go on to Justice for Murdered Mackenzie Taylor Branham. That is a site. I'm one of the adamants on there. It's a closed site. I can bring you into that site. You can see everything. All the stories are there. All the newspaper clippings. Everything. All my videos, live videos from the beginning that I started this. All of that's on there. All the evidence I have. That if anybody that's now logging on to this that missed the beginning of this and everything, that is a good site. It's called Justice for Murdered Mackenzie Taylor Branham. It's a good page. Some lady started the page, and she's done a tremendous job with it. Like I said, if anybody out there has information about my daughter's firing thing, you can text message me privately on my Facebook. You don't have to, I try to keep names confidential and everything just for my protection and for my daughter's protection. So anybody with any information, you can text message me or you can contact the fire marshal in Columbus, Ohio, and give him that information. Until the sheriff's office comes into my home and sits down with me and says, okay, Mr. Branham, we want to see what you have. We want to go over everything with you. We want to make sure that this is going to go the right way. Until then, there's a few deputies over there I would trust that you could contact if you have information you want to contact them. Andy Bivens is one of them, the deputy chief over there. If you want to contact him, my main thing is getting justice for Mackenzie. This is about her. This is her story, and this is what she wants to be told. And I am sorry if anybody's offended by the photograph of my daughter in the casket. I guess, I was bashed on a page over that too. But like I said, until you live my life, until you put my shoes on your feet, you don't know what you would do to try to get help and get justice for Mackenzie. I can guarantee you one thing, I've done a lot more than that mother has. And like I said, that's hard to say off my tongue, the word mother. So I thank everybody tonight for watching this and get to see what happened with my daughter. I also found out about the house. I meant to mention that. I found out about the house. I went and got the record on the house today. And this is the record of where the house was and everything. And I can tell you that the house was torn down within a year. And the reason they don't have the day that the house was torn down, because there's nothing on file. What we do have is the house was burned on 4/27/06, 2007. The Fayette County went back out there on 9/13/2007, and the house was 100% gone. It disappeared. It was no longer there. So you got about 11 months there that the house was tore down from the time it was set on fire till the time that this person went out and the house was completely gone, which was in the 9th month, which is September 13th. So you got about 11 months there to when that house was tore down and gone. I did file a request to have the house dug up. The house is sitting on the person who owned that property where the fire was in his cornfield or in a field, but it's on his private property. I did request it to be dug up. To the prosecutor, if they've got, I gave them 60 days to get back with me on that. Even if they say they can't do it, that's fine. I have a shovel. Don't think I won't go there and dig myself. And I guarantee there'll probably be quite a few other people who would go out there with shovels and help dig. I would love to find her bed, her sheets, her pillows, in the ground. I know there's DNA there. So shame on you, for not doing your job. And, I'm proud of myself for what I've done. And anybody who wants to bash me, you're more than welcome to bash me on these pages that allow you to bash me, but block me from being able to defend myself. Like I said, you're a low life. You're anybody that wants to get on there and put me down for what I'm doing. You're no different than the one that set the fire. That's how I look at it in my eyes. And if you have children, they ought to remove your children because you're not a parent. I'm not here to be liked. I'm here to get justice for Mackenzie. So I thank everybody. Anybody has any questions, this is the time now to ask questions. You can ask me a question and I'll answer it to the best that I can answer it. Don't know. I guess somebody, Danny Nolan, whoever you are, bash me all you want to bash me. I just saw where you posted that you're going to bash me. Bash me all you want to do. I've always said this and I'll say it forever. My address is 765 Petticourt Avenue. Come to my house, bash me all you want to do. But I guarantee you, my balls are bigger than your balls. So, that just shows me what kind of pieces of shit we have in society today and why they say the shit that they say. I could care less. The way I look at it, if you want to bash me, bash me. Here's what I got for you. Watch very closely. So, thank you for everybody tuning in tonight. I love every one of you guys.
All they want to know if they had DNA or not.
If they have DNA or not. As far as I know, the first set of DNA was, I guess they call it, where it no longer existed, because they waited so long before they knew about it. The second one, I don't know yet when they did the exhuming. From what I was kind of told, yes, they do have some. So, let's hope that they're right and it went to the right crime lab and justice will be served, for this baby. Like I said, anybody else got any questions, they can ask me now. I'll ask them before I go ahead and end this.
Some people asking what it's about. They stumbled across it. That's about it. What happened? What's this about? All of that. But I ain't really.
Okay, well, like I said, you all got to hear from the coroner. That was the gentleman from Montgomery County Coroner's Office that did the first autopsy on my daughter. You heard, he was the one that did the second autopsy too. You heard what happened. They admitted that there was errors done, and the sheriff's office waited 6 years before they even asked them anything about the case with Montgomery County. So, all I can do is keep fighting like I'm fighting. I appreciate it. I love every one of you guys. Thank you for coming on my live feed and seeing this. Mackenzie, like I said, wants to tell her story. So I will go ahead and let everybody have a fun night tonight and everything. I love every one of you guys. If you can, one more thing is just give hearts for Mackenzie. This will be solved. Thank you very much.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.